Welcome back to the Pro Football Historian channel. I'm your host, Flynn Given, and today we'll be previewing Week 6 NFL games as well as recapping the Thursday night game between Washington and Chicago. Well, let's start there. Obviously, didn't look great if you look at the scoreboard. It wasn't that much of an exciting game, but compared to last week, this was definitely more entertaining game, I feel. There's less of the, mess ups or miscommunications or just the penalties. This is more, they're not great teams and they don't get great offensive lines, and it led to more excitement that way. But the Bears really outplayed the Commanders for pretty much the whole game, but they found the way to lose the game because they, got down to the 5 3 times and didn't get anything. Obviously, they had a chance still then. It was close, but a bobble by Mooney ultimately resulted in them losing. But, they obviously can show they can run the ball pretty well. And I guess Fields also does help that just from his threat of running. And then he also had 88 yards on his 12 carries. But still not great passing the ball so far this year. I mean, he doesn't really have the weapons there, but still, you don't always need the weapons to have an efficient passing game. They just don't have that right now. Washington did have some of those issues as well. Couldn't really sustain drives, not even 100 yards passing for once. Did come out of the game or get the injury during the game that now he's dealing with his finger. And, they did find somewhat of a ground game going. Robinson wasn't explosive, but each of the running backs had over a 15-yard run. So it was all right from that standpoint. A lot of quick drives, 3 and outs. 2 for 11 on third down. Did not have the yards. They pretty much penalties they had, they didn't do anything better really in Chicago other than get the points that were available and then not turning it over like Chicago did. That was the story of the game pretty much. Move on to, the 49ers and the Falcons. This game, I expect the 49ers to win. I know it's in Atlanta. I think Atlanta could maybe slow down the run and could lead towards more closer game than probably expected. But I think you have maybe the most talented team in the league versus a team that doesn't have much talent. And I even like the Falcons coaching staff, but even if they outcoach the 49ers staff, which I think they're pretty good as well, I just have a hard time seeing Atlanta winning this game. Moving on, got a game where, I don't know who's going to be the quarterback for New England. I'm going to assume Zappe at this point. And the Browns, I think they're a more talented team, obviously, but not better coach team. And just, last year this was a complete blowout. And maybe you could say an injured Mayfield is not as good as a Brissett. For the most part, the pieces are relatively the same for the Browns. I mean, they got Amari Cooper, I guess, is different. And for New England, they got some defensive pieces that have changed. And that's pretty much every year for New England. But, they're just going to run the ball. And this is a team you can run it definitely down the middle. I know they did sign Tyler Davidson to try to help them there. Did trade for Deion Jones as well. I don't really know his status for this week, but either way, I just don't see it being enough. I'm going to pick New England in this game. Just Packers. Jets are more talented than the Giants, so this could give the Packers problems. And you could say maybe this is an upset, but it's hard to see both New York teams upsetting the Packers. And I think this is a solid football team, the Jets. They're okay. I think Green Bay's just a better team. And I think because of that loss, they're going to drastically change just from what I've been hearing. Now, how they're going to change, I can't say for sure, but it seems they're going to be pressing the receivers more. I don't know if that means more man coverage, though. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they'll start dictating more. Maybe I'm getting a little too far there. But they should have a way better plan than they did against the Giants. And I think they might be able to run against the Jets. And that should lead to, a relatively close game. And I'm picking the Packers in this one. I do think it could be a close game. The Packers have won, 15 straight regular season games at Lambeau. And it's just hard to see them losing this one. Colts, Jags. This one's a hard one for me. Obviously the Jags won 24-0. And I was considering, I had to pick the Colts before the year in this game. And I want to pick the Colts, but I need to see something better than what they put on the field. And obviously Jacksonville hasn't played well recently either, but I expect this to be a close game. I'm just going to pick the Jags to go 2-0 in the series. Now the Vikings and Dolphins, this is another tough one because it looks like Skylar Thompson's going to play, maybe Bridgewater, but I'm going to assume Skylar Thompson's the quarterback. And I don't know who Tyreek plays and all that, but I think they can take advantage. I think there's way more talent in the Vikings defense, and I think they can make plays defensively. They have most of their guys on defense, and then they can slow down the Vikings. They stop the run, and it makes it easier to stop their pass, and it makes the Vikings one-dimensional. And I think they can, win this game. I guess it's an upset just because of the Skylar Thompson factor. But I think Skylar Thompson's he looks solid in the preseason. I know last week wasn't spectacular, but game manager, I think he'll be fine. Another tough game. I'm going to go with the Saints. I'm surprised to think the Bengals are going to go 2-4, but I'm going to go with that. I think they are healthier, but I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as well as they did last week. And he still lost the game even last week. And I think the Saints, hopefully they don't play too much man. They do give up some big plays, but one-dimensional Bengals team, a team that's pretty simple. I think Dennis Allen's going to be able to slow them down and keep them under 17 or so points. As long as they don't give up the big play, I think the Saints should win this game at home. And, the Bengals defense is solid, but, Taysom Hill should help them get something going. If they score in the 20s, I think they'll win this game. Ravens, Giants. Another game I think is going to be close. But I'm going to pick the Ravens. I think they're just a better team. And both teams have familiarity, but I think with Lamar practicing against his Giants defense for years, the Giants blitz a lot. The Ravens were preparing all offseason for that type of defense, like because of Miami and other teams. I think the injuries, they did win last week, the Giants. I think the Ravens will be able to pull this game off and go to 4-2. This game, I think, is going to be maybe not a blowout, but I can't see the Steelers even doing what the Falcons did last week. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. Should pretty much have their way. It should be their best performance of the year. Should be, I guess you could say, a breakout game, even though 3-2. Now I know I'm going to skip, not really going X and O's, but I just with the injuries Pittsburgh's had, I think the Bucs should be able to throw it a little bit. And I don't think they have, without TJ Watt, I don't think they're going to really take advantage of the offensive line for the Buccaneers. Moving on, we got the Rams and Panthers. Panthers are big underdogs in this game. And I think because, Steve Wilkes is now the interim head coach. Maybe, I don't know if that's going to help or hurt the defense. And then how does him getting fired help the offense? Still bad McAdoo coordinating that. I don't think it gives enough of a boost. I do think they could take advantage of the Rams' offensive line. And, they're they can be run on, but Rams can't really run the ball. I think this is going to be an ugly game. I'm going to pick Rams, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers win this game. But I will take the Rams. Their defense should be able to slow down PJ Walker and that crew. Cardinals Seahawks. Another game I'm just not sure about. But I think the defense is. I think it's going to start to show. They're not very good on defense. I think Seattle should take advantage of them. Geno Smith's looked great so far this year. Defensive, they're not very good, and maybe that means the Cardinals pick them apart. With the short passing game that the Cardinals have. I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring game, and I'll take Seattle. No, I'm not comfortable, thinking they're going to definitely win this game. Cardinals definitely can win it, but I'm going to go Seattle there. Another game. We had two of these matchups last year between these teams. Ultimately, I'm going to go with Buffalo. I know they're not going to be able to run the ball like the Raiders did, but I think their defense is really good. I think this Chiefs, they've shown signs where they've struggled, like the Chargers game and stuff like that. And I think the Bills can, replicate some of that. And it should help them be able to win this game. And even though the Bills can't really run it, their passing game's so great. Again, I expect a pretty close game. I will take Buffalo and Kansas City. But again, either team, these are probably the two best teams in the league. And I'll just go with Buffalo. Not super confident about it, but they did win last year's regular season game. It was close in the playoffs. I'll take them. Another game I'm just not sure about. But the main thing is Dallas going to be able to shut down the Eagles' run game? Will the Eagles stick with the run game? And as long as they can, the Eagles can. It should lead the Eagles being able to pass the ball. If they don't run it well or can't run it, Dallas is going to be able to do their exotic stuff. And I don't know if you say exotic, but they can basically stay in the defense as they want to. And if they can do that, they're one of the best defenses in the league. They can just not worry about the run. Their safeties are not great, but everything else is very good. Micah Parsons is a little bit banged up, and some other guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, I believe. But the Eagles are pretty banged up. I'll take the Eagles, but again, not super confident. I think Cooper Rush will play for Dallas. And I think with the Eagles being able to run it, you should be able to win it. Moving on to the last game, the Monday night game. Get to see Denver again. I know a lot of people are not excited about that, but they got two more standalone games after this. Take that, how you want. And then Chargers, they haven't had really a night game since, I believe, week 2. That Thursday night game. The Chargers might be able to run the ball against Denver a little bit, even though they're not a great running team. I know Denver has a pretty good secondary. I think it's going to be a relatively close game. I still need to see Denver play good offense. We showed, I guess, the only time they really showed signs it was against the Raiders. And I think this is a relatively good defense. I guess they could get ran on, and maybe that helps Denver if they can stick with the run. Again, Russ Wilson's hurt as well. I will go with the Chargers. Not super confident about it, but I think they're just the better team, and they're home. That's really what it comes down to. And Andrew Quarterback for the Broncos helps me with that decision. Again, I appreciate you watching. I did this video in less than 15 minutes. Again, enjoy this week's games. We have a great 4 o'clock game in Buffalo, Kansas City, and Sunday night should be pretty good. Again, enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk next week.